smuggling a philodendron houseplant.
Smuggling.
No, it's supposed to take that across the international borders, right?
Okay.
Driving up through Canada. Well, I had a lot more than a philodendron.
Speak Easy Studios. Speak and be heard.
Welcome to the studio at 1201, where we are bringing you interesting conversations with entrepreneurs, creatives, leaders, and world changers to impact and inspire. Let's connect! So make sure to subscribe, rate, and review with all the stars. And most importantly, remember, you belong here. What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Jeanette, your hostess with the mostest, and I am here with the studio at 1201, powered by Speak Easy Studios.
Oh, yeah.
And we are here with another Conversations with. I am here joined by my lovely, radiant co-host, Kelly.
Lovely and radiant.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
I was
Hey.
just lavishing the praise. You doing good?
I'm great.
It's
it was
a good day.
weekend, and it's a
Yeah.
good day.
Good.
Yes.
And we have a good conversation. Who are we joined by, Kel?
Well, today we are joined by Becky Dymond, and I can't wait for you to learn more about her.
As we just said, Becky Dymond is a gem, not just because of her last name. So how are you doing, Becky?
I'm doing really well. I started out with a halo, but I guess that's gone.
We're playing around with some lighting and things, as you'll see in the videos to come. Stay tuned.
That's right.
We're all about improvement here at
Yes,
Studio
we are.
1201.
Ever moving up.
Yeah.
Finding common ground to go to some higher ground.
So we have Becky is an incredible special guest doing some really powerful things here in Palm Beach County. Can you give us a little snapshot of what your life looks like?
I run a nonprofit called Lighthouse PBC, and I'm working with gals coming out of sex trafficking. And so gotta have a whole constellation of efforts, in terms of
love
reaching
that.
those.
Constellation of
That's a
efforts.
word picture right
Yeah,
there.
it
That's
is.
beautiful.
Well, we try to do, we're doing street outreach. We do something called Pop-Up at the Laundromat. And so
Brilliant.
we're doing it 2 places now. Last week we started our second location, and we have signs up in the posters in the area
Yeah.
that say, if you are a woman living a life you never wanted to live in a place you never wanted to be, we'll do your laundry for you. 3:30 to 5. There's one location on Tuesdays, another
Yeah.
one on Wednesdays.
How simple yet so profound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you seen a lot of traction with that?
it's been amazing. It's like my 2 favorite days of the week now.
Oh.
We take a pop-up tent. We take a shade tent.
Yeah.
Because it's still South Florida.
It is.
Yeah.
We take chairs, and we take refreshments and toiletries. I always take cut flowers because I want them to know that they're worth the extra effort.
Oh.
We take quarters and detergent, and we're just there to make friends. We're just there to,
Show love.
and dignity, right?
Yes.
Dignity is the opposite of shame.
My
And
goodness.
so that whole idea
Yes.
of taking food to them, caring about them. A lot of times I have clothing that I take as well,
Yeah.
and shoes, because those things are remarkably hard to come by on the street.
Yeah.
And it's just a conversation. And the whole idea is when they go, oof, this is not working for me anymore. They have a face and a phone number. I can get them into detox that day
Wow.
and to rehab, and then I can help them navigate what comes next, because most of the women that land on the street doing that, and it's not all women, we work with men as well. There's a story.
Everybody's got one.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody says when they're 8 years old, I know what I want to be when I grow up. Right? There's a story that landed in there. And so we're there just to make friends, just to hang out and love them. So that's very practical on the street, but then there's very few ways in this industry to address supply and demand.
Yes.
And so we run John School. So if you're arrested for a misdemeanor, if it's a felony count, I can't help you. Although those are the people that really need it, but that's another conversation.
That's a whole other
right?
conversation.
But we have separate classes for buyers, typically men, but not always, and sellers, typically women, but not always, where we address, both classes start with STI teaching, where they have the photos that make you go, You know, like,
that shock you into maybe I should about change. Yeah.
right? And then for the buyers, I have a survivor, a trafficking survivor, that shares facts versus myths about prostitution, and we present together. So she'll kind of share her story, and I'll kind of bring the mental health aspects in that land people there. And then for the sellers, I also have several survivors that will, take turns sharing their stories. A PowerPoint. It's called "The Lies I Believed That Kept Me There."
Ooh.
Because there's a reason. Very few sellers are constrained physically. Yeah. It's usually some type of trauma bonding.
Absolutely.
Some type of family of origin trauma that frames that as a reasonable, thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And then for both groups, for both the buyers and the sellers, we have what would be a group therapy session in the afternoons that can be 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so for the guys, I bring a guy down from Orlando that's brilliant. He's just amazing. And he starts with a video of a woman being gorilla pimped, where she's forced into it.
Yeah.
And of course the men are going, wow, that's not right. And their whole, protective
starts coming out.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden they're seeing it from the other side, right? And he talks about being objectified and can bring that to where they can all see where they have been objectified for their, their skills, whatever they do for, sports or employment or whatever. And, wow. Yeah. And for the women, this is my favorite part. I'm there usually with another therapist and a couple survivors, and I have a chair and I have a slinky dress and shoes and a necklace, beads. Yeah. And I'm going, how'd she get there? What's her story? And for both the buyers and the sellers, by the end of the day, they do a survey because I want to know if I can improve the course.
Sure.
And we've never had anyone, I really am looking for improvements, but they've all said, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I came, which was not their attitude when they came in early.
I'm sure.
Right? And they talk about how it's changed their ideas about, about commercial sex, about addictions. Very often it's driven by addictions in the buyers. And so we have all kinds of material and resources that we can make available to them. We've had men come up pretty consistently in tears afterwards going, I'm so sorry, I just never knew.
Oh, wow.
One man comes up in tears going, how do I protect my 13-year-old daughter?
Oh, wow. Right? Yeah.
And I've had several women that said, okay, I'm out. So what do I need to do? Where do I need to go?
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's
incredible.
Like a payday. Talk about payday. Right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And so that's, like I said, addressing both supply and demand. Yeah. Because as long as there's demand, there's going to be supply, right? And so when we can address the mental health issues and the understanding, educate, no shame, it is what it is. We all stumble, we all make mistakes. But when I can address that, it like gives people a bigger perspective. It's like, seeing it from the mountaintop instead of in the valley.
Yeah.
And just backing up just a little bit, you've mentioned a lot about trauma, about mental health and that sort of thing. So tell us a little bit about how you can speak into that.
Yeah, it's interesting. A few years ago, I was reading a book. It's called Making the Most of Your Story. And it has you go back and identify the things that you think, couldn't we just throw that in a closet and lock it and check the key?
Right.
Can't we just
so nice.
Can we just dump that? Right.
Denial is great.
I do it at my house all the time.
And so it made me go back and look at things that I maybe was not all that keen on looking at. But as I did it, I'm going, oh my goodness. My dad died when I was 5. Heart attack, right? And that was back in the day where, they said there's nothing we can do. He couldn't tolerate heparin, was the only medication they had. And so then my mom goes into depression. So really kind of lost mom and dad in the same day. And very traumatizing, experience. It can a certain experience went down where I went, oh my goodness, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And my next oldest sister pretty much raised me until my mom pulled out of depression. But by the time she pulled out of depression, I'd already straight-armed her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then because of that wound, I ended up going into homosexuality. That's like classic, where a girl does not connect with her mom.
Yep.
Right? It took one bad hair day for my mom, right? A 5-year-old, your job as a kid is to make sense of life, right? Brush your teeth, only the ones you want to keep. Don't bother with the rest. Tie your shoes. Don't run with your shoes untied, right? So that's, right? So I'm trying to make sense of life, and I made some wrong assumptions because I'm 5,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And so then I go into homosexuality and, come out in high school in the 70s.
Wow.
Was maybe not one of my smarter moves. That was really intense.
I'm sure.
And then drugs and alcohol, and then rape, and all this insanity. And then God mugs me when I'm 20.
That's a new one. God mugs me.
Seriously mugged me. I was on a drug trip, and he sends this repeating nightmare of hell all night. Scared me spitless.
I bet.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, I have a former lover in Alaska who is now saved, fasting and praying for me.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so she'd already said, why don't you come up in the summer? And I'm going, yeah, but I knew that she had come to faith, and I'm going, yeah.
Another straight arm.
But she didn't see that straight arm. It was.
And so after that nightmare, I'm calling her going, is that offer still good? Right? And she says, sure. So I end up going up with her sister, who is this goody two-shoes, just graduated from college with her nursing degree. And she was smuggling a philodendron houseplant.
Smuggling.
No, I was supposed to take that across international borders, right?
Okay.
Driving up through Canada. Well, I had a lot more than a philodendron.
That was the least of y'all's worries.
I get up there, there's a church service, some guy preaches on the priesthood of God, everything goes over my head except the altar call.
Oh, wow.
Right? So then I get married. I go to a Bible college for a couple of years, drop out of university, go to a Bible college for a couple of years, go back to school, get my degree in biology. I was a biology teacher.
Nice.
Get married to a guy that's he's a dry drunk. Really didn't deal with a lot of his issues. Yeah. So long, really difficult marriage, struggled with suicidality, struggled with all kinds of stuff, raising kids. Anyway, so back to that book, I'm looking at it, and it makes you go back and look at what did I gain, right? Earned authority. They don't sell it at Walmart. I already looked, right? The only way you get earned authority is to
Go through it.
Yeah.
And process it, which is exactly what this book was making me do, in terms of, okay, what did I gain from that experience that I couldn't have gotten anywhere else? And I realized, oh my, I am really good at what I do now because I know about abandonment and neglect. I know about sexual sin and shame and social pariah status, right? I know about rape and abuse, mental, emotional, spiritual abuse. I know about gaslighting.
You've been through it all, it sounds like.
But what's
wow.
beautiful about that is it flips every awful thing on its head and it makes use of it. Nothing is wasted if you can glean as much lesson as possible.
Right. And that passage that everybody quotes so glibly, God will make all things work together for good. Do you feel like punching somebody, right? Like,
It's not good right now.
would you come a little closer? Right?
I didn't hear you.
But, oh my goodness, that's exactly what God does if we'll let him.
Yeah. And my other favorite verse is he comforts us in our affliction so that we may comfort those in any type of affliction. So it's, again, taking what we've gone through, like what you're doing right now is that whole list of things you've gone through, you've now, again, turned it on its head to impact other women, even in your story in the beginning of wanting to be there for these men and women, wanting to have a presence so that when they need that phone call, they have a face, they have a name, just like your friend who became saved was the phone call and the face that you needed when you were faced with a nightmare, literal nightmare.
Right.
Wow, what a full circle. That's incredible.
And these girls can't say to you, because you don't look like you've been through all that, honestly. But these girls, I was just saying, and your beautiful white sweater and some kind of like pearls.
The blue halo's not there anymore,
but they can't say, well, you don't know. And you're like, no, I do. This is what God can do.
Yeah.
I'm sure have you gotten a few of those?
Oh, yeah. It's just, that's what you keep going for, knowing. And it's, so the pop-up, we've been doing the first one we started about a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half. And there's one gal that's come, and since we started, when we first started, she was homeless and addicted. And she was able to get a job, guys, doing flips. And so she knows how to paint, she knows how to, do yard work, all that kind of stuff. And so now she's got a place to live, and she's been clean for over a year now. She got clean about 2 months after we started. And so at the end of, when we were packing up and getting ready to go, all the girls that come are usually helping us pack up. And so she comes over for a hug, and she goes, you saved my life.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, God, I love what I do. This is what I was made to do. God created me to do this. This is not work. This is living out of my identity. This is doing exactly, what I was designed to do.
And this is happening right here in Palm Beach County, which a lot of people don't even realize the depth of hurt and horror that is happening.
Right.
Could you tell us a little bit about you? And I touched on something the other day when we were talking about an idea you had that kind of has brought a lot of these organizations together in Palm Beach County.
Right. That
you just were like, oh, well, maybe we could do this, and how it's turned into an amazing thing. If you can just talk a little bit about that.
Ended up going through a divorce in 2018, and I'm like ready to clock out. I got grandkids in Ohio. I'm gone. And God says, not so fast. And I reminded him, my objective really...
As if he didn't know.
I reminded him.
That my bigger objective is to reopen a safe house. I ran a safe house program, a restoration program for women for about 4 years, I guess, 5 years. And I said, you realize I don't have the money to do that, just saying, right? In terms of resources, right? And, with crickets... I'm going.
I was talking
to you. Is this thing on?
That's great.
And so I'm going, okay, so I'm looking at the trees. Let me figure out how to look at the forest. And I, kind of take a step back going, okay, if my work is not done, I really felt like that's what he said. Your work isn't done here. What resources do I have that I haven't identified yet? Right? Raw materials that maybe I can't take it to the bank, but it's still a value, right?
Yes.
And I realized, I have been doing this since 2011. And I have a really great reputation in this community. Actually, it was 2020. It was the very early part of 2020.
Yeah.
And I thought, I have social capital. I get referrals from all over. I have, any number of agencies send people to me. Everybody knows that I'm not going to take the money and go to Tahiti, right? That I'll use it for what it was, assigned to do. And I thought, wow, what if I created, I thought to write a white paper that was the framework for bringing all of the different stakeholders in Palm Beach County together. Because when you're working with a survivor, they have obviously they come out of the life usually with nothing but the clothes on their back.
Right.
They usually don't have family, or if they do have family was part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Yeah.
Right. They don't have a place to live. They don't have a job. Very often they don't have their identity paper because the trafficker takes that right away because he doesn't want them to be able to go get a job at Target or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I called this friend of mine. I said, I have this really stupid idea. I need you to talk me out of it. And she blew it. But, you know, but additionally, there's this man called, his name is George Vadia. And he had kind of started the ball rolling in the Broward, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach several years before, which I didn't realize till just the other day. And so this was really piggybacking on what he started. Yeah. And we ended up with what we call Sharing One Love Palm Beach County. And we just had a meeting last week, and there was, I think, 20-something different agencies represented.
Wow.
All, you know, and you know, one group works, one gal does real estate agents against trafficking. And so they use their access to look at homes and buildings to go, wait a minute, right?
Something's not right here.
The locks are on the wrong side of that door, right? Kind of thing. To Catholic Charities. No, I'm blanking now. Catholic Charities, Rescue Upstream, Sharing One Love was George Vadia's idea, you know, brainchild. Community of Hope, Lighthouse PBC, and Salvation Army. Those were the core. Yeah. But we had people coming from the Sheriff's Department with a grant there. Victim Services were there. Another group that's providing housing for women in distress. You know, like, you know, with other women
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And so all of these, you know, Help Me Amy, Love Hub. There's all these different groups that are
Love Hub. I like that.
Love Hub works with people coming out of prison when they got nothing.
Oh,
right.
Okay, we'll have to talk more about that later.
Yeah. And so there's all these different groups that are, you know, coming together synergistically to meet the needs of the survivors that we're working with.
Wow.
And it's just been like, okay,
so impactful.
How cool is that, God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you ever worry about safety and what that looks like?
You know, where we meet, the first place where we started meeting at the pop-up, we had police that tried to wave us off. You know, it's dangerous. And we're actually on the corner of a fire station. There's this little green area. And we had, the first times we met, one of the fire people came out and they go, what are you doing?
Also,
do you know where you are? Did you know somebody was murdered here Saturday night?
Gosh.
You know, and you're going to be gone by dark, right? Right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm just like, okay, God, this was your idea, so this is not my problem. This is your problem. Yeah. If there's anything you want me to do about your problem, just let me know.
It's a great perspective.
Love that.
Yeah.
That way I can sleep at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
When we ran the safe house, I carried.
Yeah.
We had traffickers looking for
I believe
their
that.
women, and we had one that came pretty close. And so I, you know, and if I'm going to carry, I'm going to be proficient. So I went shooting every week. You know, I need to be good at what I do if I'm going to do this. But I thought if I tell somebody this is a safe house, it will be over my dead body that they get hauled out of there.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like this conversation needs to be an hour. This is amazing.
It's wild.
So Becky, we want to know two things. One, we're going to do a takeaway. Yeah. And then after, probably chat about that a little bit. And then we want to know how people can serve alongside you, support you, and everything that Lighthouse PBC is trying to accomplish. So if you can look in your camera, this is right back here. You're not speaking to us now. You're going to speak directly to the listener, and any encouragement or insight or wisdom, every person on the spectrum may be listening, from someone who's never heard of any of this problem to someone who maybe last night bought, right? Or someone who's trapped in it. So anything that comes to mind, just talk to them for a moment directly.
You know, people turn away from stuff that seems so dark and heavy that they feel powerless. And the bottom line is that we're not powerless. That's a lie. And most cases are cracked when someone sees something that doesn't look right. A few weeks ago, there was a hotel, and something about a stolen purse, and the clerk went to check on this room, and he sees a middle-aged man, two young girls, and condoms on the bed. that does not look right, right? And so he calls the police, and the case is cracked. And so I'm encouraging people just to be alert, and also, you're not powerless. I thought I was powerless when I said, I don't have the money to do this. And I had to look at it from a different perspective and saw that I did have resources that I could capitalize on. And so wherever you think you're powerless, you have to go, wrong answer, and back up and look again, because you're not. And there is hope. For this kind of a situation, I have worked with a number of women who are rocking life at this point. They just needed somebody to invest in them. People invested in me. I lost count of how many mentors I had over the years. And that is an opportunity for every one of us to invest in someone else. You know, maybe someone coming out of trafficking, maybe a kid that, you know, mom works full time and dad isn't in the picture. Whatever it looks like. Take the time to invest in other people. That's what gives life meaning.
Incredible. Oh, my goodness. So I know people listening, especially after that, are going to feel inspired to do something, right?
Yeah.
So what are the best avenues for people to connect with you, your organization, or really anything that you want to share with the people of how to plug in?
So we're always looking for volunteers. It takes a special kind of person to go to a pop-up.
Yes.
And that's not as common as I had anticipated. But like, I'm working with a gal now. She's been clean for 100 days. She's like wildly motivated, and she doesn't have her GED, and she's terrified about the math. Tutor, mentor, right? I'm always looking for mentors. I'm looking for somebody who will take a gal out to get her nails done, just for coffee. Doesn't have to break the bank, just to invest in someone else, like people did for me. You can find us on our website, which is lighthousepbc.org. There's all kinds of ways to volunteer. We're going to do a fundraiser in January for an NFT sale. We're also doing a 1% campaign. Statistically, 1% of the women that get involved in trafficking get out. And so we're asking people to give 1%. You pick the 1%. It might be 1% of what you spend at Common Ground Coffee every month. It might be 1% of what you spend at the movies. I don't care. 1%. Because if everybody who lives here, made their living here, contributed $20 a month, if I had 1,000 people doing $20 a month, we would have this safe house up and rolling. Because that's really the critical piece. When they come out, they got nothing. And they often need to be essentially reparented. The adaptive living skills that I have, I got from my mom. You do your homework, you pay your bills, right? That was just how life rolled in my household growing up. It's not because I was really smart or perceptive. It was modeled. And so very often that's what it takes, is long-term modeling, time to work on trauma that undermines adaptive living.
Yeah.
And so the safe house is really a critical piece, because there's nothing really specifically for human trafficking survivors in Palm Beach County.
Right.
That's a shame. We
It
estimate
is.
we have at
It
least
is. Yeah.
we estimate we have at least 2,000 people being commercially sexually exploited, looking at
Oh, my
the
goodness.
hard data that we can identify from escort services, erotic massage parlors, strip clubs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, big donors, if you're listening right now and this is on your heart, lighthousepbc.org, and just lavish a little bit, maybe a little bit more than 1%. You know, who knows? You could be.
Your 1% could make a huge
Your
difference.
1% could make a difference.
And the great thing is, like something you touched on earlier was that you get a lot of referrals because they know you're not going to go to Tahiti with their money. And so when it's a passion in you and it's part of what motivates you and I hate to say drives you, but you know what I mean, that's you're not looking for get rich quick
Of course,
schemes kind of thing. You want a place. You want to create a place where these women can be healed.
Belong.
Yes.
They belong there. You belong here.
Yes.
That's our motto.
It's really kind of fun, because every couple of months I get all the survivors that I'm working with at that time together for a breakfast. And
amazing.
it is just amazing. It's just, I don't even have words. It's just so cool to watch them engage in that place of safety.
Yeah.
That place where they each know, you get me. You understand.
Yeah.
You relate, you know.
And they're on the journey together.
Yeah.
This is a conversation I think that maybe we could have you back on again.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2024 to hear any updates and any more encouraging stories, get more people plugged in, because this is something I'm personally passionate about. And I know this is a way to really impact and improve Palm Beach County to get these women help.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Becky.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Do you have
that's my
anything
line.
else to add, Kel?
No, I don't think I could say anything else.
I'm so I feel so motivated and encouraged, and
And it's a Monday.
It is.
It's a great day to be
we're
motivated.
recording on a Monday.
Yes.
Yeah. And encouragement to you all out there listening. Find your passion like Becky has found hers, and see what can happen. Who knows? The sky's the limit. Don't be holding back. Step into something. Don't be scared of it. And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
And please stay tuned for more. Go back and listen. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why? Why haven't
not?
you? Go ahead and subscribe to listen to all the
So
things.
many good conversations
I know.
we've had.
This is Studio 1201, powered by Speakeasy Studios. Jeanette, your hostess with the mostest.
And Kelly.
And
I got to come up with a thing. What am I?
We get you a tagline. The La Capitaine.
Oh, that's right. I
Captain
forgot.
of this
La
ship. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Remember to rate, review, subscribe, and join us for the next episode.